And so we're not going to rush in and do something on the spur of the moment.
Right now, Asia side, just about 35 minutes ago, we had the latest inflation numbers out of Japan CPI. These are consumer prices, inflation at the retail level, where it matters to you and me. Both Tokyo leading core inflation, as well as Japan nationwide, came in line with expectations. CPI, Tokyo CPI core up 0.4%. Japan nationwide core up 0.6%. The data reinforcing expectations that interest rate rises will continue to be gradual. Take a look at dollar-yen reaction. Just ahead of the numbers, we had dollar-yen sitting at 115.74. So in the event after that, 35 minutes away, or after these numbers, we had dollar firming up just a bit, 115.85 last done as we speak. From all, let's talk to NICU HARAJCHI, Managing Director of hedge fund K1 Fund Distribution. He joins us now live from our studios up in Hong Kong. He has about $286 million under management. NICU, good to see you. Nice to have you with us. What did you make of the CPI numbers?
Well, thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here. Well, I think that the Japanese data signals expansion, but I still think that the Japanese economy is vulnerable to the global demand. Now, as you said, the 0.6% growth in CPI was in line with the market's analysts. It was the same number as we've seen the month before, and altogether we're seeing the fastest pace in the past 8 years. We think it's a good thing for the Japanese economy that they're leaving deflation behind, which has been dragging on the Japanese economy for the past few years, now with consumer prices rebounding.
Kari, jump in on this.
Thanks, Martin. Nico, this is Kari in Tokyo. But, you know, personal consumption had earlier, half a year ago, been the driver of the Japanese economy. But it really has slowed down in the last couple of months, and I think that's confirmed by the household spending data we got earlier on this morning. How concerned are you about this, and what is driving the Japanese economy now then?
Well, that's a very, very valuable point. And but if you just look a little bit about the growth in Japan, as we have seen, especially the trade surplus this year for the past 6 months, we did see it shrink around 24%. However, we saw imports outpacing exports by far. But still, if we take the two numbers together, we will see the third record high so far in the history. And we saw expansion, or the export expanding by 14%, which was in line with market analysts, especially high demand in cars from the U.S., which widened the trade surplus with the U.S. to a 20-year high and to more than 4.2 trillion yen. Imports were higher than market analysts with 18.2%, and we did see major increase from oil prices and energy prices, which accounted for around 30%, and of course higher demand in steel. So yes, we're still happy to see that that consumer prices and corporate prices or spending, which was the main driver in 2005, has taken the Japanese economy on its longest expansion for the past 20 years. So we are not that concerned about the Japanese economy as of now.
Niku, Martin Sung here in Singapore. Let's get right down to brass tacks. What's it going to mean for BOJ policy going forward? I mean, consensus is markets pricing in another 25 basis point hike at the very least by the end of this year, so 50 total from zero. Some people think, though, that with the BOJ might be behind the curve in terms of trying to stave off inflation, might have to get more aggressive, maybe 75 basis points total by the end of the year. What's your thinking?
Well, what we have seen BOJ come out with the first interest hike this year, the first in 6 years. So we really think that the Bank of Japan will, if they increase rates, will do it very carefully and not any drastic moves. We think they're very concerned about the domestic economy and the global economy, and especially higher energy prices. So we don't think they want to scare the market. We think they want to look at CPI numbers as they came out today to make sure that it's growing. We think they're going to look at real GDP and make sure that we're seeing steady growth there as well before they will take any actions. But we do think that they will have to take action within the next 6 months.
Nico, we're going to have a major leadership change here in Japan with the Prime Minister, stepping aside in September, when there's going to be a whole new cabinet. And of course, the Bank of Japan is independent, but they are very consensus-driven. Do you think these political changes are going to impact in any way what the Bank of Japan might do from here on?
I think that their main concern or their main priority would be looking at key data, how it's going to come out, and especially having a view on the energy prices. I don't think that a change at the cabinet would really make them postpone any future rate hikes if the numbers come out strong as we've seen them so far.
NICU, let's get down to it. I mean, you're a hedge fund, K1 fund distribution here. I mean, how are you playing Japan? I mean, no matter what you think is going to happen to the dollar in terms of it softening more or going dead, as far as the yen goes, even if it does rise with the further interest rate hikes expected, it's still a good carry. You can't get away from that.
Yeah, that's true, and I mean that's also the good thing about being a hedge fund manager, especially these days where we're seeing so many tensions, especially in the Middle East. I mean, we have the possibility to generate profits in rising and falling markets. We are looking at Japanese long-short equity managers. However, we have a very conservative approach, so as of now we're still watching them and haven't made any moves yet.
All right, wait and see what happens then. NICU, good to talk to you, sir. Have to leave you there. NICU HARAJCHI, Managing Director of Managing Director of Hedge Fund K1 Fund Distribution, live from Hong Kong. All right, let's take a look at our world news headlines at this hour. Israel says it is calling up thousands of reserve troops, but rules out an expanded ground assault on Lebanon in Beirut. The government estimates that up to 600 Lebanese have been killed in the war so far. U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice is in Kuala Lumpur for the ASEAN Regional Forum. This is a defense forum. North Korea's nuclear program and the crisis in Lebanon are likely to top the agenda there. And Malaysia says North and South Korean representatives are likely to meet on the sidelines of the ARF forum. ASEAN Regional Forum, excuse me, but Pyongyang says it is not ready to rejoin stalled six-party talks over its nuclear program. Let's get up to Betty in Hong Kong, find out what's cooking her side. Betty?
Hey there, Martin. Well, LG Card is cooking. Looks as if that stock is falling down, really moving lower after the report out from the government that credit card companies saw a decline of 14.5% in its net profit, I'll have those numbers for you after the break.